Hey, today I'm going to show you how you can read emails from Gmail using Java. So let's get started. I have already prepared a simple Maven project for reading emails, so you can also check it out from my GitHub repository from the link inside the description. We will be using Eclipse Angus library for this example, so if I show you my POM XML file, you will see that this dependency is already added to this project. By the way, if you don't know how to create a new Maven project, please check out my other video where I explain this from start to end, and at the final step just add this dependency and you are ready to go. Okay, let's start. As you can see, I have prepared a class named Gmail Reader that we will be using in this example, but before this we have to set up a special app password that will be used when connecting to the Gmail store, so let me first explain you how you can do this. So open your favorite browser and then select your Google account and then click on Manage your Google account and then click on Security and then click on two-step verification. If you don't have this option enabled, you first have to enable two-step verification and then click it and then scroll down and then click on this arrow under App Passwords. Then under application name, put application name, for example, Gmail Reader, and then click on create, and then copy this generated password, go back to your code and paste it right here. Then under email, put your email address that you want to read from, and then run the program by pressing Ctrl F11. You can immediately see that we have one error present, so if I expand this, you can see that we have alert that your account is not enabled for IMAP use. To enable this, you have to go to your Gmail account and then click on this settings icon and then click see all settings, then go to forwarding and pop IMAP, and then under IMAP access, click on enable IMAP and then click save changes. When this is completed, go back to your code and try to run it again. And now you can see that we have successfully read the email messages. As you can see, we have 4 fields printed for each email, and those are received on, which is the date when the email was received. The second one is from, which is a sender email, and then finally we have a subject and a text. Now let me explain the code so that you can also try it yourself. Let's start at the main method where we call read messages from Gmail method, and here you can see that we are first connecting to the IMAP store, then we get inbox folder from that store, then we retrieve all the messages from that inbox folder based on some search term, and finally we print all of the messages. At the end we also close the folder and the store. Now let's take a closer look at each method. So the first one is getImapStore method. Here you can see that we are creating a session instance and then we are connecting to the imap.gmail.com based on your email, that is your username, and based on your application password. The most important IMAP properties are host, which should be set to imap.gmail.com, and also port, which should be set to 993. And you also have to specify a host under ssl.trust property, and you also have to enable start TLS. Without those two properties, you will get a certification error when you will try to connect to the store. I also advise you to use a connection timeout and timeout properties where you specify a number of milliseconds, so in our case this is exactly 10 seconds. The first property means that if the program could not connect to the store in 10 seconds, it would stop and throw an error, but if we would not specify this property, it would hang indefinitely. The second property is similar, but this one represents a timeout for reading the messages from the store once the connection was already established. Okay, now let's go to the second method, which is the getFolderFromStore method. This one is very simple, so we are calling a getFolder method on the store with specified folder name, which in our case is inbox, and then we open this folder with read-only flag. When the folder is successfully opened, we are then searching messages inside this folder based on some search term. So in our case, we are using a received date term that uses greater than comparison. You can also see that we are creating a yesterday date that is used inside this term. So this basically means that we will be searching for all messages inside inbox folder that have received date greater than yesterday. We are also using a fetch profile for faster email reading, but I will not go into more details here. When the messages are successfully retrieved from the folder, we are then using a for loop, and then we call a print message method for each message. So for received on date, we are simply calling a get received date on the message. For sender, we are calling a get from method that returns an array of addresses, but because we can only have one sender, we are accessing the first element and then we cast it to the internet address, and then finally we call get address method that returns a string. For subject, we are simply calling a get subject method, but for text, we are calling a special method that needs more explanation. As you may already know, each email consists of multiple parts. You can have simple parts, for example simple text, but you can also have complex parts that consist of multiple other parts. Those other parts can also be simple or complex ones, so we need to use a recursion. If part is simple text, so if it has MIME type text plain, we are just calling a get content on this part and we are appending this string to our text collector. But if part is complex one, so if it has MIME type multipart, we are first casting it to the multipart and then we are using a for loop so we can call the same exact method for each part. And then we let recursion do its job, so that means that it will collect all of the text from the message even if it has multiple multiparts. This text is collected inside this string builder, so after this method executes, we are just calling a toString method so we can retrieve all of the text. And finally, we are calling a toString method on message builder so we can get a nice output for each message. And that's it, guys. I really hope that you've learned something new today. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. Also, if you found this video valuable, please subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in the next one.